She smirked. Mom and Dad will make you forgive me. Her voice was sweet. Her words were venom. I stared at the wreck. My brand new car, twisted and broken, still smelling like leather and smoke. 2 hours earlier, it was perfect. A dream I'd built dollar by dollar. Now it was proof. Proof that forgiveness in my family wasn't kindness, it was control. I'm Annie. I spent years earning peace that my sister thought she could steal. Jaime thought this would end like always. She'd cry, they'd defend her, and I'd be the one apologizing for being angry. Not this time. I had already filed the report. She just didn't know it yet. Forgiveness used to be free. Tonight, it had an invoice. I had spent years saving every spare dollar, skipping vacations, ignoring every impulse purchase, driving my old rusted sedan into the ground. All for this. A brand new car that was completely mine. No loans. No handouts. Just proof that hard work finally meant freedom. The day I picked it up, I ran my hand along the hood, feeling the smooth paint, the quiet hum of something earned. And then Jaime saw it. She was leaning on our parents' garage wall, scrolling her phone, wearing that same lazy smirk she always did. Nice ride, she said, like she already owned it. Before I could speak, she yanked open the door. Let me take it for a spin. I blocked her path. No, I just got it. She rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Annie, don't be dramatic. It's just a car. Exactly, I said. A car I worked for. A car you don't get to touch. That night, my keys vanished. My car, too. 2 hours later, a call from an unknown number. Ms. Anderson, there's been an accident. The driver was fine. My car was not. When I saw her at the crash site, she laughed. Don't freak out. Mom and Dad will make you forgive me. The next morning, Mom called before sunrise. Sweetheart, please don't make this a big deal, she said. Your sister didn't mean it. It's just a car. That sentence again. That tone again. Like my effort was disposable. Like her carelessness was sacred. I sat in my old car, hands on the worn steering wheel, watching sunlight spill through the windshield, and realized this wasn't about the car anymore. It was about every time they told me to stay quiet. Something inside me cracked. She wasn't sorry. She was certain. They called it an accident. I called it theft. Didn't argue with them that day. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. Didn't even bother to defend myself. Because what was the point? In their eyes, Jaime was still the baby. And I was the overreacting older sister who needed to let things go. But silence can be sharper than any shout. And mine was loud. That week, I stopped going to family dinners. Stopped answering their calls. Every time my phone lit up with Mom's name, I let it ring until it died. At first, it hurt. That familiar ache of being the outsider in my own family. But soon, the ache turned into focus. I went to work early, stayed late, took on every extra project I could. Every spreadsheet, every late night, every quiet victory became fuel. Meanwhile, Jaime posted selfies and captions about staying positive. She hadn't even asked if I was okay. Didn't care what her mess had cost me, because she'd never had to care. Mom texted, she feels terrible. Dad called, we're family, honey, let's move forward. No one asked what I wanted. No one asked what it felt like to watch everything I'd earned vanish overnight. So I stopped explaining, stopped trying to be understood. And in that quiet, I started building something new. I sold what was left of the wreck, bought a cheaper car with the payout, opened a new savings account, one I didn't tell them about. Every deposit felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Every dollar said, you were right to walk away. Nights were the hardest. I'd stare at my ceiling, thinking of all the apologies that never came. But somewhere between exhaustion and resolve, I realized peace isn't silence. It's knowing you don't owe anyone an explanation. I started jogging in the mornings, just to clear my head. Some mornings I cried while running. Other days I laughed, because distance finally felt like peace. 6 months passed. They still treated Jaime like the fragile one. But the thing about silence is, it gives you time to plan. So when Dad called again, saying, we're having dinner, come by. Your sister wants to apologize. I almost laughed. Because I already knew this wasn't about an apology. It was about control. About getting me back in line. That night, I ironed a simple black dress. Not because I wanted to impress them, but because I wanted to look composed. When the truth finally shattered their version of peace, I took a slow breath, looked at the insurance file on my desk, and smiled. They wanted peace. I was about to give them truth. And I wasn't afraid anymore. Dinner felt staged. Like a play everyone had rehearsed, but I hadn't read the script for. The table was set with candles, Soft jazz playing in the background. Mom in pearls, Dad in his favorite shirt. Even Jaime looked like she'd made an effort. Lip gloss, curled hair, that practiced sweet smile. She only wore when she needed something. "Annie," Mom began, voice sugar-coated. "We're so glad you came. It's time we moved past all that unpleasantness." Unpleasantness. That's what she called my wrecked car. My stolen peace. I smiled politely. "I'm glad you feel that way." Dad leaned forward. "Your sister's been under a lot of stress. She's truly sorry." Jaime's eyes didn't match her words. She gave me a slow, lazy grin. "Yeah, I shouldn't have taken your car. It was dumb. But, mistakes happen." Mistakes. She said it like she'd burned dinner, not totaled something I worked years for. I took a sip of water, feeling the cold slide down my throat, steadying myself. "Funny," I said softly. "You always call them mistakes, and I'm always the one who pays for them." Mom sighed, her tone shifting into that calm, manipulative register. "Honey, forgiveness is strength. You don't want this resentment to eat at you." I nodded. "You're right, Mom. I don't." Their faces relaxed. They thought I'd surrendered. That's when I reached into my bag, pulled out a thick envelope, set it on the table, right in front of Jaime. She frowned, half smile twitching. "What's that? Another dramatic note? Read it." Her hand trembled slightly as she opened it. Her eyes moved down the page. The color drained from her face. Her lips parted. But no sound came out. Dad leaned over. "What is it?" I waited. Let him take the papers. Watched his brow furrow as he scanned the header. Insurance liability transfer. Unauthorized use. The silence that followed was almost holy. Mom froze, fork halfway to her mouth. Dad's jaw tightened, and Jaime, she looked at me like she'd just seen a ghost. "What did you do?" she whispered. "Nothing illegal," I said. "I just told the truth." Her voice cracked. "You reported me?" I leaned back, folding my hands calmly. "I didn't report you, Jaime." "The officer did. I just didn't cover for you this time." Her breath hitched, anger blooming across her face. "You can't do this!" I smiled. "I already did." Mom's tone sharpened. "This will ruin her, Annie." I met her gaze, unflinching. So maybe she'll finally learn what ruin feels like. For once, the silence wasn't mine. It was theirs. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty for winning. For a moment, no one moved. The only sound was the faint clink of Mom's fork hitting her plate. Then Jaime pushed her chair back with a screech. The papers crumpled in her fist. Her breathing came in sharp bursts. "This isn't funny," she snapped. "Tell me you're joking, Annie." I stayed perfectly still. "I'm not." Her eyes darted to Mom and Dad, panic now flickering where arrogance used to be. "Do something," she hissed. "Tell her to fix this." Dad's face had gone pale. He turned to me, his voice trembling. "Sweetheart, you didn't mean to actually file this, right? You can call them, undo it. This is family." Family. That word again. A leash disguised as love. "No, Dad," I said evenly. "This time, family means accountability." Their silence thickened, heavy and sharp. The weight of their disappointment pressed against my chest, like the air itself wanted me to surrender. But I didn't flinch. Not this time. Not again. Mom slammed her napkin down, her calm veneer cracking for the first time. "This is cruelty, Annie. You're ruining your sister's future." "She ruined mine," I said softly. "I worked 10 years for that car. 10 years. And you expect me to pretend it's a scratch on the surface?" Jaime's voice shook with rage. "I made a mistake. A stupid mistake. You're destroying me over one accident." I leaned forward, my tone still steady, almost gentle. "Accidents happen, Jaime. Consequences follow. That's how the world works. Just not the world you've been living in." Her lip trembled. "You're seriously going to let this destroy me?" I tilted my head. "No, I'm just not going to stop it." She slammed her hand on the table. "You're heartless." I smiled faintly. "No, I'm done being your safety net." Dad rose halfway from his chair, voice desperate. "Please, Annie, think about what you're doing. This will follow her for years." "Good," I said quietly. "Maybe it'll remind her that actions matter." Jaime's eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time. Not manipulative, not performative. Just pure disbelief that her power was gone. "I don't have that kind of money," she whispered. "How am I supposed to pay for this?" I stood, slipping my bag over my shoulder. "You'll figure it out. You always do." Her voice cracked. "You hate me." I paused at the doorway. "No, Jaime. I finally love myself enough to stop hating what you turned me into." When I stepped outside, the night air hit me. Cold, steady, honest. Streetlights blurred through my windshield. fading like old memories. The house shrank in the mirror, one porch light flickering weakly. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel angry. I just felt free. The next morning, I woke up to silence. No calls. No messages. No apologies. Just quiet. And for the first time, it didn't feel lonely. The sunlight spilled through the curtains, landing on the stack of documents I'd left on the counter. The insurance papers. The proof that I had finally stopped protecting the wrong people. I made coffee. The world outside was calm, indifferent to the chaos I'd walked away from. And maybe that's what peace really is. Not the absence of noise, but the absence of guilt. For years, I thought forgiveness meant weakness. That being a good daughter meant swallowing pain until it tasted like duty. But forgiveness isn't peace if it costs your self-respect. And family isn't love if it only survives through silence. I looked out the window at my car's empty spot in the driveway, a small reminder of everything I'd lost, and everything I'd finally found. Because it wasn't about the car. It never was. It was about value, the kind you earn, not the kind you beg for. Sometimes, the only way to reclaim yourself is to let the world call you heartless, and still choose your own peace anyway. People will tell you that family always comes first. They'll say forgiveness makes you stronger. Maybe they're right. But I've learned something they don't teach you. Strength isn't in forgiving what broke you. It's in refusing to let it break you again. So, if you've ever been made to feel small, if you've ever been told that anger makes you wrong, remember this. You're allowed to choose peace, even if it means choosing distance. Peace doesn't whisper. It roars when you finally stop apologizing for earning it. Have you ever faced something like this? Tell me in the comments. You're not alone.